Now we can look in more detail at the dermis. So the dermis has two layers. Up here where you have all these bumps is the papillary layer. The papillary layer of dermis, remember, is made of areolar connective tissue. And this tissue is like the glue of the body. Anywhere you see in the body where you have areolar connective tissue, think of binding. It's always going to bind. So this is what binds the epidermis to the dermis. Okay, then also the shape. You have these bumps that lock into these grooves here. So the papillary layer interlocks with the epidermis. And again, that is to hold them together. So the fact that it's areolar connective tissue and that it's bumpy to interlock with the epidermis is what holds epidermis and dermis together. And this can fail. If you have a lot of friction, like say you get new shoes and they're rubbing your heels, that can fail. When this fails to hold together, that is when you get a blister. So a blister is the epidermis separated from the dermis. Then below that, we have the reticular layer. This is the thickest part. So reticular is from here all the way to here. And reticular layer contains the structures of the skin, which we already labeled earlier. It also has those blood vessels for thermoregulation. So remember, if you are hot, they will dilate to release heat. And if you are cold, they will constrict to conserve heat. And the reticular layer is made of dense irregular connective tissue. So you have dense connective tissues have collagen fibers. So you've probably heard of this. A lot of wrinkle creams claim that they restore your collagen. So your reticular layer of dermis is full of collagen. And as you get older, that collagen breaks down and you get wrinkles. So collagen is a protein. And whenever we say a fiber of protein, that means it's a long strand. So the collagen is these long strands of protein. So in your dermis, you have these long strands of protein that are collagen fibers. There's two types of dense connective tissues, regular and irregular. We'll go ahead and draw two here so you can see the difference. Regular, all the collagen fibers are parallel. In irregular, you have some that crisscross like this. So that's the difference between dense regular and dense irregular. In regular, they're all parallel, they don't cross each other. In irregular, you do have some that cross others. They're not necessarily all in straight lines. Collagen fibers are strong. In regular, you have strength in the direction they run. However, in the other direction that they don't run, it is weak. This would be like your tendons and ligaments. If you twist your ankle, you'll tear the tendons and ligaments in there, and that's a sprain because they're strong in the direction they're meant to be pulled. If you twist your ankle, you pull them in the direction that they're weak, and then they tear. With your skin has to move in all directions. Think about it. Every time your body moves, your skin is stretching and moving with you. And you can move your body parts in lots of different directions, so you need your skin to be able to move with you in different directions. So skin is irregular. Your dermis is irregular. Because you have collagen fibers that run in all directions, your skin is strong in all directions. It's because of these irregular collagen fibers in your dermis that your skin doesn't tear when you move. Then the hypodermis, we can look a little more at it. So the hypodermis has two tissues. It also has the areolar connective, which again, remember, it's like the glue of your body. It holds things together. And this time it holds your skin to your body. If you didn't have this, your skin would just kind of be like clothes. It would just hang on you, but not really be attached to you. It's also full of adipose. So you have that layer of fat just under your skin. And this adipose serves some functions. For one thing, it insulates to keep you warm. It also cushions to protect your internal organs and all the structures inside you. Think about if somebody's going to punch you and you grab a pillow and you use that pillow to cushion yourself. That's what all this fat is. It's this built-in cushion all around your body. And it stores energy. So if if the zombie apocalypse ever happens and you can't get food for a while, you can just live off of that subcutaneous fat. Now let's go on and look a little more at sweat glands. Remember in the first picture I said there were two types of sweat glands, the merocrine and the apocrine. So we're going to compare these to each other now. The purple one here is a merocrine sweat gland. And notice it has a duct that goes to a pore on the surface of the skin. So first we'll talk about the merocrine sweat glands. So merocrine, one thing about them is they have a duct to the surface of the skin. And this sweat functions in thermoregulation. Remember in the chapter 2 lab where we had the flower pots and you got one wet and it got cold, and the whole point of that was that's how your body uses evaporation of water to cool itself when you sweat? This is the merocrine sweat glands. They cool you when you are hot. So the whole idea is they put sweat on the surface of your skin. That sweat evaporates. Evaporation breaks the hydrogen bonds in water, and you have to use the heat from your body to break those hydrogen bonds to allow the sweat to evaporate. So this sweat is mostly water. It does have some electrolytes. That's why we have Gatorade. So if you are exercising and working out and sweating a lot, you can drink Gatorade to replace the electrolytes that you lost. There is some waste in it. So this sweat will contain a little bit of urea, which urea is also what's found in urine. It also has lysozyme. Lysozyme inhibits pathogens from growing on your skin. So pathogens are germs that will cause disease. So the world is full of germs. Not all of them make you sick. Pathogens are ones that will make you sick. So the lysozyme inhibits pathogen growth on your skin. And these sweat glands are found everywhere on your body, and you have lots of them. You have about 2 million of them. And they are all over your body. So every body part can sweat. Then we look at the apocrine glands. This pink one here is an apocrine gland. Notice that it has a duct, but its duct goes to the hair. And then the hair is what distributes it to the surface of the skin. So apocrine sweat does not have its own duct to the surface of the skin. It has a duct to a hair, and then it relies on the hair to get up to the surface of the skin. And these sweat glands are not located all over their body. They are only located in certain areas. And those areas are the armpits, genitals, nipples, and anus. Another thing about these sweat glands is they don't become active until puberty. So they are dormant until puberty. So make a connection here. At puberty is when these glands become active. And at puberty is when you get genital and armpit hair. So that hair is what distributes the sweat to the skin. This sweat does not function in thermal regulation. It has a different composition and a different purpose. So it is also made of water, but in addition to the water, it also has lots of lipids and proteins. And the main purpose of this sweat is that it has pheromones. So you may have heard of pheromones. Pheromones are involved in attraction. So this all goes together. You get these sweat glands, well, you have them your whole life. They become active at puberty, and puberty is when the body's getting ready to reproduce. And pheromones are what attract a mate. So think about other animals and pheromones. It's not just humans. All mammals have them. So think about dogs, right? When a dog is in heat, every male dog in the neighborhood knows, and they come looking for that female dog in heat. That's the pheromones that do that. The female dog in heat is giving off lots of pheromones, and the male dogs can detect that. Now, it's not really smell, it's like smell. Humans do have a structure in the nose to detect pheromones. But it's not the same as smell. When you smell something, you're consciously aware of it. You can describe and recognize different smells consciously. This is more on a subconscious level. So you do detect pheromones in other people, but more on a subconscious level. And if you think about dogs again, even the female in heat gives off a lot of pheromones, but they're always giving them off. And notice that this is also in the anus. Well, that's why dogs smell each other's butts. They're smelling each other's pheromones. And that's why dogs sometimes, like you meet a new dog, you go to a friend's house and they keep wanting to sniff your crotch because that's where your pheromones are and they want to smell your pheromones. So this does play a role in attraction. Now, in humans, there are a lot of factors that go into being attracted to somebody, but the pheromones do play a role in that. An interesting study that was done, some researchers took a group of men and a group of women. They gave the women t-shirts and had them wear those t-shirts for a few days so that their pheromones got on them. Then they took each t-shirt, put it in its own sealed Ziploc bag, and put just a number on it. So only the researchers knew which woman's t-shirt was in which bag. Then they gave these t-shirts in the Ziploc bags to the group of men, and they had them smell each t-shirt. And just based on smelling the t-shirt, they had the men write down which ones they were attracted to. So the man would sit there, he'd have all these t-shirts in Ziploc bags, he'd open the Ziploc bag, he'd smell the shirt, and he would write down the number on the bag if he felt like he was attracted to that t-shirt. Then later, they hosted a party and had all these men and women meet each other. And after the party, they took the men and they said, which women were you attracted to that you met at the party? And the men wrote down the names of the women they were attracted to. Well, then the researchers compared the list of numbers from the bags of t-shirts to the names from the party. And it turns out they matched up. So if a woman wrote down that he was attracted to t-shirt number 3 based on smelling it, and then he went to the party and he met the woman whose t-shirt that was, at the end of the party, he wrote down her name that he was attracted to her. Another place where you can actually see this in action is when women live together. When a group of women live together, their menstrual cycles will synchronize. This is because they're smelling each other's pheromones all the time. Now remember, it's not technically smell, but it's in your nose. So anyway, when women live together or spend a lot of time together, they're inhaling each other's pheromones all the time, and that will actually cause their menstrual cycles to synchronize with each other. So that's a pretty powerful impact from this. Okay, a few other things that go along with this. Notice that this sweat contains lipids and proteins. Two implications of the lipids and proteins. American sweat is clear. It's water with a little bit of electrolytes. Lipids and proteins are not clear. Lipids and proteins tend to give a yellow color. That is why you get pit stains on your shirts. It's the lipids from this sweat get into the cloth and they stain the cloth yellow. This is also why you get body odor. This is why you need deodorant once you go through puberty. Lipids and proteins are food. Bacteria live on your skin. So the bacteria on your skin will eat the lipids and proteins from the sweat. And whenever bacteria eat, they produce waste, right? Anything that eats has to produce waste. If you eat food, you poop. So then the waste from the bacteria is what smells bad. That's where body odor comes from. That's why you wear deodorant, to prevent this. One more implication here. Apocrine sweat has lipids and proteins, which are food. Well, it's not just bacteria that eat lipids and proteins. We need lipids and proteins also. Milk is a modified apocrine sweat. Mammary glands are, you take an apocrine gland, you modify it a little bit, and you get a mammary gland, and it makes milk. But milk is just a modified form of apocrine sweat. So like if you go to the grocery store and buy milk, you're basically drinking cow sweat. And mothers with their babies, that's a modified form of sweat when you breastfeed a baby. So kind of interesting to think about. You've been having cow sweat on your cereal all this time.